Hello, everyone. This is Vlog Media Breeze. I am bringing you my review about the Love and Married Huntsville. As many of you know who come here often, you know I do a review on the show every week. It is one of my favorite all-time reality shows. I absolutely love it. And the last video I did, I just want to give an explanation. I don't know what happened with it, but something, I think it was because the people who were here monitoring my moves, not here in the video, but actually here in my house, they needed to set up some things. And I think that that's what happened with it. And they got the information that they needed. So that is very good. Very, very good. There may be some people going to jail, you guys, for real. But anyway, I digress. I really can't say much. Um, as you can see in my title, I talk about Wanda and the Ghetto. Okay, this was called Wrecking Ball Wanda. And you guys get in the comments and tell me what you thought about last night's Love and Marriage Huntsville, especially the part with Kimmie and Maurice. Because they pull up, of course, they are in two separate cars. And I don't know why they were in two separate cars. I guess they were just planning to meet at the location to see the property. However, the end of that meeting is what got to me because he suddenly wanted her to go pick up Monster. I digress. I'll get to that when I get to it. But Kimmie gets out, they walk up the little hill of the property. It's very wooded. I don't like wooded uh, areas because of spiders and bugs and all kinds of unknown looking animals. And even though we have some woods back here a little bit, but it's not a lot because there are like houses on the other side. It's just, I don't like spiders, and I know that there are a lot of spiders out now for some reason, and they are huge. So walking up in that area I would have been like, I'm not going up in there. But, Kimmie got up in there. They were looking around at the property, and she starts, her vision for her home, her new home, and everything, and what it's going to be like. She starts putting down the plans in her mind about where the driveway is going to go, how she really likes the hill and how things are really set up on the property. And I looked at they've already bought this property based on what I saw in the Huntsville area. They own the property. And she just has these dreams. Have you ever had a dream? You're like, oh, I can't wait. This is what it's going to look like. This is what I'm going to do. And then Maurice gives it to her. He tells her this is a spec house, which is a house that they're planning on either renting out or reselling. It's a spec house. I don't know if you have ever built a house. I have. It takes a good while to build a house. It can take a good while to build a house after you buy the land. Now, if you are buying a house in a subdivision, then that house can be put up rather quickly because you're buying the house and the land all at the same time. However, when you go look for land and then you got to look for contractors and people to build the house, that takes a long time. And she has her dream set on this. And Maurice lays it on her and tells her that it's a spec house. She is a better woman than me. I would have been literally mad. I would have been mad. But she kept her calm, she kept her cool voice, and she says, "Oh, well, you know, ain't no sense in me even being up here." She says, "Ain't no sense in me even being up here." You guys, I want to pause. I have a question. Why is it that, and please, you can answer this in the comment because I'm sitting here trying to give a review, and I want to know why is it that if I'm on someone's channel and they block me, I'm not going back. I'm not even going back as a different name. So why is it that I'm looking in my chat and someone I blocked who knows they were blocked because they sent me a comment, and now you're saying you're back with a different name? I want to know. And you can put it in the comment, or you can come up here and talk to me about it and tell me what's going on here. 'Cause I don't understand people like that. I mean, I don't understand people like that. You want to disrespect me and criticize me and say all kinds of negative things about me. I block you, and you come back with a different name. I'm trying here on my channel, minding my business, trying to have a good conversation. So, and I'll let you come up after the because I want to go ahead and go through this because tonight is also Real Housewives of Potomac. So I'm going to let you come up after that because I want to know what is it that makes people do that? Because you're not the only one doing that to me. There are a couple of other people, and I'm going, what is going on? Because if I'm blocked, like I love Bondi. Everyone who's been over here knows that that's one of my top um YouTubers. I absolutely love her. I love her reviews. But if she was to block me, I wouldn't go back as a different name. I might send her an email and ask her, if I could come back, why did you block me? Did I say something to hurt you? I apologize. Um, but I wouldn't just be going back as different names. That's ridiculous. You know how many accounts you have to set up for that? So I am going to let you come up because I want to know what it is that, uh, because I mean, anyway, I want to move forward. I want to say this. I love Kimmie's lashes. One of the first things I noticed about her were her lashes. She looked real pretty in this scene. Um, Maurice lets her know they didn't plan on moving there, and she's like, "Oh well, this is a spec house." And she goes on to tell him, "Look, I, you know, I'm saying that this moment is when you said you got a project." So it was in that moment that she knew she wasn't moving there. So I'm trying to understand what was the conversation before they left home because she followed him there. So did he say to her, "Let's go look at our house," or "Let's go look at the house"? I mean, what was the conversation before they got there? Because she was really shocked that he didn't um didn't tell her that that was going to be their home. Um, and then amid it all, he asked her to pick up his son after she had just told him, you know, the communication is not good between us, and even like with Monster, you were supposed to be doing all of these things with Monster. And that's true. Kimmie shouldn't be doing all of these things with, not that she doesn't like Monster. And I'm not just taking up for Kimmie because Kimmie, if you've seen some of my other reviews, she's not one of my favorite people. Um, because I do think there was something going on. I think there was some overlap, but I digress. It doesn't matter. They're married and things are where they are, and I want them to move forward and be good. And but she didn't get into this stepmom thing to be a mom again because she has raised her son, put him through college, and she was looking forward to doing some other things, I'm sure, that didn't entail her picking up his son every day or all the time. It seems like it happens a lot. And even amid while they were talking, he asked her to go pick up Monster. So I don't know about the Scott brothers. I don't know about these Scott brothers. At any rate, it looks like a good property though. It's going to take a lot of work because that's a lot of trees. That's a lot of trees. They're going to have to really get some contractors in there. They're going to have a couple of different contractors just to get rid of the trees. Okay, because you have contractors that come in and they will be the ones to, lift up, but then on that same day, you have to schedule a time to get the contractor in there who was going to move the trees and the debris out of the way. And it's just, it's a lot. Anyway, next we have um, we have Martell and his mom. They are at his mom's house. And I kind of picked up on something, and I don't know if you all picked up on this or not, but I think that Martell lives with his mom, which is nothing wrong with that. If you're going through a bad time, if my kids are going through a bad time, they can always come home. I would love to have them all be at home at once, if it was big enough for everybody, um, long term. But so I don't see anything wrong with a grown child coming back home in order to restart their life. That's what we are as parents and family. We're supposed to be there when you're down. Um, so I don't have a problem with that. It's just that I picked up on it. I believe he lives there, and um, she seems like the kind of mom who would do that as well. Allow him. She's not going to tell Martell that he can't come stay home. Get your old room back. Find a place for the kids. But the thing that struck me is as they are sitting there. Well, first of all, they are styling little Milani's hair. Her hair is so curly, it's so cute. I just love little Milani. She is so adorable, so adorable. Um, but they're styling her hair, and then they go into, I guess I don't know if that's the living room or the den area. In the South, we have a location in our homes that we call the den area, which is normally where the television is. And then we have the living room area, which is where all the really good furniture is, and you can't go in there unless you have really, company coming over. At any rate, I don't know which area they're in. It looked like it might have been the den just based on the furniture. They're sitting there and they are talking, and she says to him that he doesn't need therapy and that he can just be his own therapist. Do you guys agree with that? Martell cannot be his own therapist. His mom has spoiled him so much that she doesn't even know who he really is. She must look back at the shows and see how he treats Melody. I mean, there's no way he could be his own therapist. She goes, "Oh, and things happen for a reason. When them kids were real small and you used to work so much, I was like, she gonna kill my boy." Talking about Melody. Now, just last season, she was all in Melody's face, telling Melody that she was not going to have any other daughter-in-laws, and she was spilling her tears about how she hated what Martell had done to Melody. And now she's sitting here saying this to him. So I guess when she's with Melody, she says one thing, and when she's with Martell, she says another, and she doesn't always come clean on everything. First of all, she doesn't come clean because anyone who tells Martell he can be his own therapist, they got issues. They got issues. It's very clear. Martell cannot be his own therapist. I digress over that. I don't even know what to say about that one. But the other thing that really got to me, her as a mom, because if my son went and got another woman pregnant while he is married to my daughter-in-law, I no, I would no. There is no way I would ever say the words to him. So what if you got a girl pregnant? I mean, I don't like it, but sometimes things happen. There's no way I would ever say something like that to my son. So when she said that to Martell, so what if you got a girl pregnant? Oh my goodness. I don't know. Maybe she's trying to make amends on air with chitlins over there so that she can be able to see that grandchild. I don't even know if that grandchild is a girl or a boy. I really do not. I haven't seen Martell with that baby at all. Not even on social media. I haven't. He puts he puts his kids and Melody's kids there, but I've never seen him with Chitlin's baby. And then they have the conversation about the song that Melody made, And she says to what do they call the little boy, Tank? She tells Tank that Tank is talking about a song that his mom made, and she says to Tank, "Oh, baby, she's just singing about your daddy." And that got under Martell's skin. Martell told her, "You don't ever say that. You don't say that that song is about your daddy." And she tells him that he needs to take that up with his ex-wife. I don't think that Martell's mom meant anything negative when she said, "Oh, baby, she's just singing about your daddy." I believe she was just letting the little boy know that there was not a whole lot for him to be concerned about. So, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about Martell's conversation with his mom? I didn't like the content of the conversation. However, I did like the fact that they could sit there and have that conversation as mother and son, even though I didn't agree with some of what the mother said. I do agree that they have the kind of relationship that allows them to bond like that. Next, they have Martell and Maurice, and Dr. Francis is coming by because Martell and Maurice want to talk to him about some of their concerns. And I want to say to you guys, I have, like, years ago, I did have therapy. I went into therapy. I was experiencing some life changes, and I just needed some direction. And I did go into therapy for that. And it was like a full, I think it was like 10 weeks of therapy twice a week for 10 weeks. And I got a lot out of my therapy. And I know that sometimes there are people, like I've had friends who intermittently will go into therapy just for a particular issue. And that's how I see this issue with Martell and Maurice. They don't really need a long term or a short term therapy. They had a question about something and they just wanted to clear the air on it. And I'm sure if they need to move forward, or if Maurice needs to move forward, he will. But in reality, I don't know if he needs therapy. I think he just needed that moment. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys agree with that? Have any of you been to therapy that you would like to share? Okay. Um, at any rate, um, Owen needs to give Dr. Francis his own show for real. This is a good place for them to really extend some more shows for OWN because Dr. Francis, his name is Dr. Kitson Francis. In one of my videos, I kept calling him Dr. Franklin. Like in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills the other night, I kept calling the Hermes bag Hermes because I was so sleepy. I was like, okay, is it Hermes or what is it? But it's Hermes. Okay. At any rate, OWN needs to give him his own show. They call Marceau, and Marceau tells them, "Look, guys, hey, I'm not into it." Marceau has his own thing going in his own head. He really does. He's in his own head, and that's not good. That is not, and that explains why he can open up a business, but his management skills are very bad because he doesn't really think about the employees. He thinks about himself and what he wants. He doesn't know how to engage the employees and have them want to be at work and you know because I heard that a lot of those employees quit at his place at Black, quite frankly, allegedly. Okay, I have allegedly in the description of this video, so you can go back and read all of that. Okay, um that's why he's not into it, and he really does, out of all of them, need therapy, or maybe he has something to hide. Maybe he has something to hide. And when you are in therapy, you can't hide things. If you are really going to be there to get your money's worth and to get your time's worth and to get your emotional worth, all of the worth that you need to get out of therapy, it is important to be completely open. because that therapist can't help you if you're not going to do that. So Marceau may realize that, and he doesn't want to open up about things that he would have to open up in front of his wife, because he knows that that would destroy probably his marriage. And this is just my guesstimate. That's just one of the things I'm thinking, because he goes, "Guys, I'm really not into it." When you just told them back in Vegas that you're depressed and that you haven't been happy and you're not into therapy, that is the ultimate reason to go to therapy, so that you can come out of that place. Dr. Francis shows up, he's sitting there, and Maurice gets right into it. He tells Dr. Francis that they were in Vegas, and Marceau started opening up about how he was feeling. And as Marceau opened up, Maurice began to think, hey, I've been feeling some of these same things as well. And so it didn't dawn on him until his brother opened up that he may be actually unhappy as well. And he wanted to get a professional opinion. That is the right thing to do. That is the right place to go. That's the right thing to do. And I wonder too, sometimes, as Martell's mother just said, things happen for a reason. I do believe her in that. Perhaps that whole process was set up so that Maurice could get help, and maybe not Marceau. Maybe it was set up so that Maurice could get some help. When you live with your husband, sometimes there are certain energies that you pick up on, and you can predict a lot of things. And maybe in the household where Maurice and Kimmie live, Kimmie wants answers, right? Her spirit wants answers. And perhaps this was the spirit's way of guiding Maurice to get help, so that Kimmie can be resolved in that relationship. That's what I'm thinking happened, that this was the energetic process really for Maurice to get some help, so that Kimmie can be resolved, because she is concerned about their communication. And maybe Marceau was just, the person who was put there to make that happen. At any rate, I like what Dr. Francis had to say about the maze effect, because he says because as Maurice is talking about his entrepreneurship and how he is a high achiever, and sometimes being a high achiever, it just never stops, because you're always making goals, you've always got to get this done and that done, and it's stressful. And Dr. Francis says sometimes people get caught up in the maze effect. You get caught up in the maze, and you're so caught up in it that you don't know how to get out of it. It's very stressful to even think about getting out of it. And I thought that was a very good analogy. He goes on to tell Maurice, you have two wives, because when you're at home with Kimmie, your mind is always thinking about your other goals, the goals that have to do with your achievements and your entrepreneurship. And Maurice agrees with him. And it looks like there was some resolve there. And I hope that Maurice will take that seriously, because he said that he did take it seriously. However, watching these Scott brothers and the way they operate, when they say they take something seriously, sometimes they have a different route. So I hope that he really does take it seriously. I like the shirt that Dr. Francis had on. His shirt said, when you, um, it said, the fear of failure is the enemy of success. That should have been the title of this video. The fear of failure is the enemy of success. And but he did tell them, he told Martell and Maurice, when you change your view of yourself, you will change your view of the world. And I've heard that before. I mean, I've heard that's something that's been around for decades. When you change your view of yourself, you change your view of the world. Or sometimes you can change your view of yourself, maybe not the view, for me anyway, maybe not the view of the world, but you change the way you react to the world. So like me, I've changed my view of myself, but for me, the world is as God has said the world is, and so my view of the world has not really changed, but I've changed the way I react to it, definitely. And so the the last thing I will say about this particular segment is Martell loves to find a way to blame Melody. You would have thought he was the one sitting there with Dr. Francis, so you would have thought that he would have gotten something out of it. No, in his confessional, you know what he said? That he agreed with Dr. Francis because that's what he's been trying to tell Mel. I said, if that don't beat, and he said it so seriously. He was like, hey, that's what I've been trying to tell Mel. Anyway, that's the end of that segment for me. Now, the last part that I'm going to cover is the Destiny Race, which was jam packed. This was you know what? Love and Marriage Huntsville really brings good quality reality show. It brings a really good quality reality show. Uh, every season, they have been on point with what goes on in Huntsville. And who knew all of this was happening in Huntsville? I know people from Huntsville who now live in Atlanta. So I'm like, who knew this was happening in Huntsville? Oh my goodness. And so the Destiny's Race, I'm going to say this. And if you know Letitia and Marceau, please tell them this. I may even go over on my Instagram and write to Letitia and tell her they really need to get corporate involvement in their Destiny Race. I really liked this race where you put down your goals and then you go run, and it doesn't matter about who, you're not really trying to beat anyone, but you are running towards your goal. And the place where you put your goal is where you end up, and you write it down. How many times do therapists, psychologists, ministers, people in different professions tell us to write things down, to write them down? And I say write them down and meditate over them with your Bible open, talking to God, because God is the only one who can really make things come to fruition. For some of us, things coming through to a fruition takes a long time. Like I just got certain licenses that I wanted for a long time, and I'm just now getting them in my 50s. And when I finally achieved them, I was like, why didn't I do this when I was in my late 20s? You know? Because I'm going to tell you, for those of you who are out there, you're young, you're enjoying life, you're spending money, and you may be a little frivolous with the money. By the time you get to be 50, you're going to want to do what it is that you want to do. At least for me, that's the way it was. And perhaps that is because my journey in corporate America was not a good one. It was good at one point, but then when I got laid off from the company that I loved and adored, these other companies I've had to work for have been really hogwash, literal corporate hogwash. And I talk about it over on Blogsphere. So when I say that this destiny race should get corporations involved, because what they can do is get them involved and even get their employees involved, um, and have their employees write down their company goals and put them there, and have the companies fund the race. And anytime you have a charity and companies are funding you, they want to know what that funding is going to. So this is this is goal oriented, so it can be to set up scholarships for people, or it can be to provide certain types of funding to small businesses who are struggling, something like that, because corporations have to know why they're going to be funding. But I just thought that that would be a good idea for the Destiny race. I digress. Martell's mom and Dan is Melody's mom, and we know Melody and Martell were married. Their mothers get along good. Did you see that big embrace they gave each other? I tell you, I melted. I melted. It was just really, I loved it. It just made me melt. I was like, this is so beautiful. They get along. They're hugging each other. And then they were like, holding Milani, and, you know, I just like that. I like that. They get along. And so Martell's mom and Van are talking, and guess who walks up? Ghetto Wanda. And Tisha, I love you. I know you don't like people calling your mama ghetto, but that's your mother. You don't have to like it. What most of us see in Wanda is the ghetto. And quite frankly, if she's over 50, she's way too old to be acting like that. She is way too old. And I'm talking decades too old to be acting like that. Kimmie, remember the scene with Wanda and Kimmie? Kimmie can be Miss Wanda's daughter. Kimmie is young enough to be at least her a niece or daughter. And the way she was talking to Kimmie was so off the cuff. It just didn't make sense. And Kimmie, she lied on her, and said things to Letitia like, Kimmie can get it. Can get what? You are over 50 years old. What are you going to do to that young woman? She just got married. Just put her son through school. I tell you, now that I think about it, Kimmie did just put her son through school, so maybe she's not. Maybe she could be the baby sister to Miss Wanda. Regardless, okay? Regardless, Miss Wanda's ghetto. I could not be friends with Wanda ever, ever. I don't have women like that in my circle. You cannot get over here, honey. Um, Anyway, she comes over, she starts talking to Van and Martell's mom, and Martell's mom scooted on out of there. She saw Wanda and she's like, "Okay, y'all, I gotta go." She knows what she sees when she sees Wanda coming over. Van, but she talks to her a little bit, because they start to talk about social media, and Van says she's the one who's putting on social media, uh, giving women advice to take everything that the man is worth and all this stuff. And they didn't show the part where Van said she's the one who's been on social media talking about our grandchildren. But that must have been a piece of it, because Wanda responded to it, but on the show they did not show Van saying it, which tells me there was a little more of a conversation before Martell's mother left. So when Martell's mother leaves, Wanda stays, and she's standing there talking to Van. And I think Van showed up intentionally because she was tired of Wanda talking about her daughter, and perhaps she wanted to have this conversation to let Wanda know, you're not going to talk about my daughter. Just because of the way the conversation went. That's what I'm thinking. Van tells Wanda, you got a husband and a boyfriend. And Wanda tries to say that Van is messing with married men, which I don't believe. I don't believe that at all. I did hear that Van used to date one of the Scott brothers. She used to, so Martell, not Martell, but Marceau and Maurice must have an older brother or someone, but she used to date one of the Scott men. Maybe it wasn't a brother, but she used to date someone who's related to Marceau and Maurice. She called Miss Wanda ghetto. Well, she didn't call it ghetto. She says, listen, I don't do ghetto. And, at one point, Mel comes over and Tisha comes over. And the thing in this scene that really caught my attention is Tisha could not have been putting her hands on my mother and then telling my mother, "No, it's both of y'all." I hate when people get into arguments and they say, "It's both of y'all." No, it's not always both of us. Sometimes it's me. I will take responsibility for when it's me, but just because I'm having a debate with you doesn't mean it's both of us at fault. In that debate that I saw, it was all Wanda. Wanda is disrespectful and she's really quite disgraceful. She starts something with everyone that she runs into. Tisha had to take her off the scene and have a conversation with her. And then we see later in Tisha's confessional that she's saying that she doesn't think that she's going to be able to invite Wanda to many more events. Events. Did you hear Wanda when she was talking to Tisha? She said Kimmie was very disrespectful. Kimmie was very disrespectful. I'm like, no, it's disrespectful. For that reason right there, she could not be in my circle. I'm not going to have a conversation with you when your phonetics are way off base and you want to get in someone's face whenever they challenge you. And it's not that my girlfriends and I do not challenge each other. It is just that we have a different way of going about it. And a lot of times we've known each other so long, it's a fun way of going about it. Wanda likes to take things to a violent or a volatile level, and I'm just not here for that at all. So the only thing I really wanted to say about that scene is I would like to have seen Mel take up for her mother in the same way she's been taking up for what's the girl's name? Tiffany all season. Been taking up for Tiffany all season. And I think she had her baby there, so it could be that she had her baby there, so Emil does pride herself on what she's representing to her daughters. Perhaps she didn't want her baby at that age to witness that. Um, I really like how Van handled Miss Wanda, though. She was on her phone. She was like, "Listen, I ain't got time for all this. I don't do this." She was on her phone. "I don't do this. Why are they even here?" Van, you keep that. Keep that right there. That right there. Keep it. Don't ever go over to the other side. Don't ever go over to the other side. And I know a lot of people think that they like Wanda. She brings the drama. Some people say she keeps it real. I do not think she keeps it real. I think she keeps it really bully and really ghetto-ish. Really ghetto-ish. And I love also when Van told her, "You worry about Letitia and Marceau. Don't worry." When after Wanda told Van that, and Martell's mom was standing there too. She told her, "I think that Mel and Martell ought to get back together." Both Van and Martell's mom were like, "No, no, no." Both of them were saying like, "No, no, no." And I agree with them. I don't want Mel with Martell. I know listen, Mel did not fall out of love with Martell. She left him because he wouldn't stop cheating. And so that's what we're witnessing when we see her expressing her emotions to him. It is because it's kind of like it was something that was just preempted due to something else. That didn't change her love for him, and that's really sad. She had expected something out of this marriage and didn't get it, and I don't want them to be back together. Martell, I really think Martell is a little off, you guys. I know I say this in other videos. I really am glad that production is around, and I'm glad that this is exposed because there is no telling the lengths he would go. When you listen to how he is always gaslighting her and trying to make her look bad and disrespecting her and then didn't want to stop cheating on her, it is almost like he loves hurting her. And men who have that kind of thought process are bugged. So Melody needs to just stay as far away from him as possible, find another husband who will treat you better because they are out there. You look real good, Mel. You are gorgeous. You are easily Hollywood. You look as good as any other woman in Hollywood. So leave Martell be, and that's hard to say because once you fall in love with someone, you really don't care about their looks, you guys. You don't. You don't care about their looks. You don't care. You don't even care about their flaws. You want to help their flaws. You want to help them with their flaws. And so I get it. I just don't want her back with Martell because, quite frankly, Martell frightens me. The way he treats her, the way he mistreats her frightens me. The way he mishandles her frightens me. I know I missed the scene with Destiny and Martell. So on that scene, and that was the scene before Ban and Wanda, I forgot to cover that. But just real quickly, Destiny does need to mind her business and stay out of Martell's face. I don't agree with women being friends with married men. I just don't. You can't be a good friend to my husband and be calling him and thinking you can talk to him any old kind of way. I do that. I does that. Okay. In the phonetics of Wanda and Letitia. Anyway, guys, I digress. That is it. And I was hoping someone would get down in the comments and, of course, talk about your thoughts and your feelings on the show. There seems to be a lot going on here on my channel as the authorities have found out, and I digress on that. But thank you for showing up. Please like, subscribe, and click the notifications bell. And I will see you in the next one.